What if you could change your life? What if the sorrow could become joy and the darkness to light? What if you could heal not only yourself but those around you? Well, you can. This is Alchemy, and these are the Alchemy Sisters. Join psychic Jennie McDaniel and spiritual advisor Mandee Elam for a magical 1-hour journey into esoteric spiritual discussions.
Hello and welcome to the Alchemy Sisters. Happy full moon. You are here with Mandee and Jennie. Hi, Jennie. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Mandee. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here tonight and hold space with you and all of our listeners. If you're just tuning in or if this is the first time that you've listened to our show, we are the Alchemy Sisters. My name is Mandee Elam, and I'm here with Jennie McDaniel. And each week we have a conversation that has to do with the multiverse, healing, navigating life, divine energies, and all that good stuff. We typically tend to have guests and just like to share wisdom to gain awareness and let our listeners know that there's healing opportunities out there for them to kind of help heal themselves and others and to gain support. So we are excited to hold space with all of you. And we're really excited because it's a full moon, and one of the topics that we're going to get to talk about tonight is moon cycles. We have a fantastic guest. Her name is Tessa Cadet. She's out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and she is the founder of Where the Wild Garden Grows. Welcome, Tessa. How are you tonight?
Hey, girls. I am wonderful. I'm very excited to be studying the full moon. Speaking with you guys. Really excited.
Oh, good. We are honored to have you here with us. Can you please tell our listeners a little bit about your business, Where the Wild Garden Grows, and kind of what you offer?
Yeah, it was definitely a labor of love that started once I moved to Tennessee about 2.5 years ago. My husband and I moved down to work with boys in residential care center, and being in all that testosterone, it kind of just threw me into a need for gathering women, and I never really had that in my life. And I have 2 daughters, and it just seemed I was just being called, in every way, shape, and form. I was being called to gather women, and one thing led into another, and I started holding circles, such as women's circles, every month, usually around the full moon. And that led into me starting to grow my own herbs and work with herbal remedies, which then, of course, led me into practicing Yoni-Steaming or vaginal steaming. So that's kind of how Where the Wild Garden Grows started in its genesis.
That's awesome. I think it's absolutely beautiful and brilliant, and we thank you for doing your work and following that calling. That can be scary, especially like what you were just saying, I moved here and I'm working with residential boys, but the spirit within me kept telling me, I really got to start looking out elsewhere and bringing in all of these wonderful yet ancient, wisdomatic techniques, which are incredible. What are some of your favorite things that you do in your business?
Oh, man. The gathering women and together is such a beautiful experience. The first time I ever went to a women's circle, it changed me forever. And I knew that if I could be changed forever by just, sitting in a circle with women for an afternoon of a couple hours, that and how, hungry and deprived I must have been my whole life to not have that. It was truly exciting for me to realize that I was being called to facilitate and hold space in that way. So one of my favorite things to see is women gathering and just reconnecting with themselves and reconnecting with a sisterhood, starting to recover gifts that have been lost, start to gain confidence back, and just be reassured, that they're not alone in this walk of life. That's some of my favorite stuff.
That is beautiful. Jennie, are you with us?
I am.
Jennie's been having... Oh, there she is.
No, that's all very interesting. I wish I would have ran across Tessa when I lived in Chattanooga. I ran across some brilliant healers in the South, and I was so grateful. I moved to the South from Boulder, Colorado, and my friends were like, they kill hippies down there. And I'm like, hey, you've been watching too much Easy Rider. They don't do that anymore, I don't think. Just kidding. So I moved to the South coming from Boulder, Colorado, which is a contrast beyond belief. So I was so happy to run across excellent healers. I would have loved to have run across you in the physical. And I heard a little bit, I saw an article or a post go by on Facebook, I think it was, where you were talking about working at potentially putting your wares for sale at a farmer's market, I think it was, and it was like an all-male panel, and they voted against having your product there. Did I read that correctly, or did I see that correctly? Yeah, close, very close. So after about a year of selling menstrual cloth pads and holding menstrual workshops for women, even all the way down to our tweens, I decided that I really, I guess to back up a little bit, to kind of go to lead up to where that had led to, when we were working at the residential center, the organization got a hold of what I was doing, and they brought us in and basically said we had to choose. They called it woman worshiping. It was called, we were, it was a real live witch hunt. And so they said if I stopped doing what I was doing, which was basically gathering women once a month and, of course, doing my menstrual workshops, that we could keep our job. And that wasn't just my job. That was my husband's job. That was us loving, 8 boys in our home. We worked where we lived, and they gave us this ultimatum. And we walked out of that meeting knowing exactly what we were going to do. They wanted our resignation if I was going to continue on with Wild Garden. And so we did, and we had no idea what we were going to do. Or what was going to happen to us. And so in 2 weeks, we moved out and found ourselves in now Appleton, right outside of Chattanooga. And I decided I was really going to try to make Wild Garden like a fundamental, staple in Chattanooga. I was going to do everything I could to, meet women where they needed to be met. And one of the things I wanted to do, which I had been doing, was selling menstrual cloth pads. And I also sell menstrual cycle bracelets. I sell yoni eggs. I sell steams. I sell Moon Time.Tessa, just really celebratory menstrual products. And I decided I was going to go to the largest umbrellaed, organization that holds several different markets all over Chattanooga, and they're the largest ones. And I thought, this is it. This is going to be great. So I put in my application and paid my $50 fee, and I waited for weeks to hear back from them. And finally, when I did, they said that my products were not a fit for them. And I sat on that for a good month, and I didn't say anything to anyone. And, one morning I just woke up, and it was, on my heart. And I was like, I've got to, let our community know that I'm trying to, be out here and to be the difference that I want to see for my daughters, for your daughters, for the world, for our boys, all of it. And I was met with, so I was encouraged a lot to go back and to petition the decision. And so I did, and they came back again with, they told me that they actually put it in front of an all-female panel, and that every one of their female panels, the women that sat on this panel, said that my products were not a fit. Now, when I went back and I had been kind of keeping up different parts of our community, like Moms for Social Justice in Chattanooga is a really great rallying source. And so I was putting this information on my own page, but also that. And so many women and so many different people were like, no, we have been at the Chattanooga Market. That is not true. They sell cloth diapers. There's no reason that this should not be a fit. And they said, you should go back and, get it in writing as to why the reason. What is the exact reason that they're saying it's not a fit? And they refused to say it. And so it kind of just created this, catalyst into me creating this video of trying to reach out to our community and saying, hey, I'm here. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to go wherever I can to sell these products, to get this information out here, to hold the space for women, for our young girls, so that they can have a different narrative than so many of us had. And I really was excited at the prospect of being able to get that information out through the Chattanooga Market, and they absolutely shot it down. they wouldn't even let me petition. They would not even allow me to do that.
Boy.
That's just so like.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mandee.
Oh, I was just gonna say that that's just infuriating and heartbreaking. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I bought some of your menstrual cloth threads, and they're amazing, and they're beautiful, and they're eco-friendly, and they're fantastic. And I love your product, and I've been telling all of my friends and clients about them because I think it's incredible. And it just makes me so sad that people are so incredibly fearful of the unknown. Like, what harm is that causing is my question.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think they had this sense that people didn't want to be buying their vegetables and have to see anything that has to do with menstruation. And there was a comment that was made like that on one of the feeds. And, you know, I'm like, that's the reason we need to be there, because we need to break down that stigma. It needs to be seen as celebratory and not as gross or shameful, you know.
Yeah, and just as natural as nourishing yourself.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and so many other things are well accepted. And one of the points that I made that I really was trying to drive home was, you know, here we are in Chattanooga, all the different artisans that show up to these spaces, you know, photography, wire art, wooden pens, the bread lady, and I was saying, we have access. Like, there's readily access to all of those items. There is not readily access to these types of items and this type of education. And, like, do we really need another, you know, booth that's selling, you know, whatever? And so I know that I'm the only one out here that's like this. I know that it could not have been because there's so many other vendors that were similar doing what I was doing. I knew I'd be the only one. And so it was disheartening. And, you know, there was a really good rally behind when a lot of our community heard about it, and men too. And there was other markets that ended up actually reaching out to me in Chattanooga and said, we want you. Like, come to our market. And so that's what I'm going to do.
Wow, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's real important to note that programming you were speaking of. You have a panel of female judges, so to speak, saying that won't fit. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of them were 50 years and older. I'm just going to guess. I don't know all the details, but they were probably older women who are definitely in that stigma or construct that you were speaking of. And so I think it's real important to note how stagnant it is, but then also to throw these women heart energy so that they can start to see and be around it and be aware of it and be conscious of it. And again, note, yes, this sucks. It's unpleasant. It's unpleasant across the board. But what we can do is hope that with generational shifts, which I see fully as a psychic and just a person living on the planet, generational shifts. So maybe in 10 years, this isn't even questioned. And this is what activists do. We go in before it's legal or accepted or whatever, and we beat down the door until it is, and then we find another hobby, which is usually something in the same likeness but different, and then we do that for a lifetime, and then we come back again and again and again and again. So I like that you're on that path with us. I love that you're here on the front lines fighting for awareness and spiritual knowledge as well as eco-friendly knowledge. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I went to the Chattanooga Market several times when I lived in Chattanooga, and it was big. It was like under this huge pavilion. It was very big and lovely. And you know what? It wasn't just food. They could put you over by the artisans and the things because they kind of had it separated. They have it kind of where the produce is kind of in an area, and maybe the meats, the frozen meats, or the local farms have an area. And food vendors are peppered throughout, but in the back, if you walk back, is a lot more vending, such as artisan wares. So they could have totally put you back there. They didn't have to put you back next to the broccoli.
No, yeah, and there's so many artisans. You know, when you go to apply, you actually have to send photos of proof that you do make your own products. And so, you know, they had pictures of every ounce of, like, the process in which we make the bracelets, we make the pads, we make the Yoni seals, we make, the herbal blends. And for other people to say, there's plenty of people that are selling tea and herbal and like so many bath bombs and bath products. And I'm thinking, and my packaging isn't exactly like loud, it's pretty average. There's nothing like that's screaming vagina, come on over. But like, at the same time, it would have never stood out, in my opinion, one way or the other. It was just the content. I think it made them uncomfortable. And they have multiple locations. And I'm out near Collegedale, and that's where I wanted to be, which is a little bit of a smaller one because they're quite an umbrella. There's several different locations that have different days. Like, they could have put me anywhere, but did not.
Yeah, and that Collegedale one would have been nice too, because I think there's some it's Collegedale. I think there's some colleges over there, if not one, more than one. So it would have been good for the younger generations to be exposed to some alternative methods. That would have been awesome. Yeah, we'll put energy toward the shifting quickly that can be offered. Do you do like Etsy and stuff like that? I don't know anything about getting into Etsy and what that requires, but do you sell your goods and wares on that website?
No, I do not. Most of the women not that I know personally, but I'm aware of their brands that sell cloth menstrual pads do use Etsy platforms. And part of, I was having a discussion just the other day about this, and we were kind of wondering why that was. And part of me thinks that when women were, again, handcrafting stuff, maybe even like 8 years ago, Etsy was kind of like a platform for artisans online. And not a lot of people have the know-how or the ability to have their own website. So I feel like that's where a lot of people go, and they tend to be quite expensive because Etsy does take a good portion of what you make for their platform. So I use my website, www.thewwgg.com, and so that's my website, and so I sell everything on there, all my workshops, all of the products. Even for making vaginal steaming appointments, it's all there, and that's the platform that I decided to go through. But I also, again, I wanted to be in the community. I wanted people to start, putting a personality and a face behind these products, and I know it's a good product. And that was something that I had mentioned in my video that I made, was that we've been doing this for about a year, selling these cloth pads, and we have never, ever had not one woman come to us and say, I really didn't like it. They're usually telling us that they're buying things on Amazon and they're not good products, or they're not well made, and that ours is incredible compared to that. I had a professional ballroom dancer come to me, was like, this is incredible. Like, I've needed this my whole life. Like, this is my profession. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to find the right pad for me. And she did. And, so it was responses like that made me know that, like, I have a good product. It's been in the market for about a year, and then now I could go out in the community and really confidently say, these products are good. And so, like I said, it wasn't in the cards, but I think that there was something bigger in play with all of it.
And I bought them and I loved them. It's like encouraged me to have a closer relationship with my cycle. I've been kind of like when I wash out the pads, I've been like saving the bloody water and putting it in my garden and like connecting more and getting more intimate. And it feels so nice and so liberating. And it like I'm someone who I'm 33 now, and from a very young age, when I tried to start using tampon, my body was like, no tampons, like completely rejected them. I'd get like toxic shock syndrome kind of symptoms. I'd feel awful. When I was younger, I didn't know they were just loaded up with bleach and all kinds of things that my highly empathic body was like, I don't think so, sister. So I didn't know what was wrong with me, and I was just like, something's wrong with me. I can't even use tampons. Oh my God. But so I developed a close relationship with pads for a long time, and I tried a reusable one a long time ago, and it was just really bulky. It didn't work well for me. It didn't absorb much, and so it had been a while, and I tried the Diva Cup. My body didn't even like that. My body really rejected that. I think she likes to just release and allow whatever's no longer serving her to come on out. So I honor it, and I've just loved your pads. They've been amazing. It was really easy to go on her website, on Tessa's website, and find them and order them. And I'll probably at some point order some custom ones too. But I really appreciate you and what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's a great point to make, and that we are so varied. in our menstrual cycles and what we need, and that we do. Yes, we just recently opened up, if someone needs a custom fit, that they can email us, and we only do I think it's a $1 to $2 upcharge per pad. Again, I always refer back to this video because I unloaded so much maybe that I was carrying with me. But, I mentioned I have my aunt out in Texas who works with me with these pads, and she's my seamstress for them. And, I'm barely paying her. I do not make, a killing off of these pads because I want them to be affordable, because from everything I'm seeing, it's really expensive. Cloth pads are quite expensive when you go to purchase them up front, depending on what platform you're going to. And I often compare them to even Target is starting to sell one type of cloth pad, and it's I think $1 or $18 for one pad in a box, and I thought we have to do better than this. And so as we're going, right now we're not making a whole lot of money from them, but we know that it's changing the way that women are relating to their menstrual cycles. It's starting to change the way then that maybe their daughters are seeing their mothers relate to their menstrual cycles. And so it's that wonderful ripple effect, that we're going for.
Absolutely. You're making a big difference.
Yeah, and it isn't always a big money-making plan, the pursuit of passion, but it can turn into that. We put a little effort, we put some time, we have some patience around it, it can manifest into something bigger, which is what I see just psychically looking at it. This is the beginnings of a beautiful opening up, and it's the world is becoming more aware. Sometimes if you watch the news or if you listen to people's articles or read people's articles that are talking about war, there is a lot of that, but there is a lot of awareness too, and it is shifting, and you are being a very strong part of that, bringing that awareness. So it's so fun. I read past lives. That's kind of what I do. I do a lot of things. That's one of the skills that I have. And I was wondering if you'd be interested in hearing a couple of yours.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Because you got someone that's been knocking on the door since, a couple minutes ago. So I'm going to let her come through. So I do some channeling too. It's part of my gig.
Yeah.
You got Mary Magdalene on the line here. And she's like, I couldn't pass this opportunity up to connect with one of the warrior goddesses. So she's claiming you, and this just simply means you guys know each other in past existences, even some of which were Mary Magdalene. She was actually Mary Magdalene. Other characters you ran across her, all having a very similar essence, which is that female power and the bringing in the moon and pagan and goddess. So you have hundreds of thousands of past lives worshiping the goddess, holding space in that tantra and earth worship. It's brilliant. You've definitely been around the block in that incarnation space. So you have, if you were to see your physical resume is good, but if you were to take a look at your spiritual resume, you'd be knocked off your rocker. I think you just are so skilled, bringing so much energy. And that is why Mary Magdalene had to say, hey, I see you, and we know each other. You're doing wonderful work and on an exceptionally high level. She goes, Jennie tries to explain what's really going on here. It's a little more intense than that. It's a battle between, so to speak, good versus evil, and it's been here since the beginning of time. But we will, in my predictions, and she's saying so as well, in the next 9 to 10 years, we flip the kilter. We bring more heart energy to the planet, and ego goes down. So alchemizing ego energy into heart energy. There's a bunch of us crystal warrior, healer types, teacher types on the planet right now, and we're all joining together and pushing this machine and doing it by hand. And it's brilliant. And old souls like ourselves, we love these hard gigs. We come in with a challenge and we're all over it. I don't know why. It might be some sort of spiritual mental illness, but no, I'm kidding. But yeah, we keep showing up for the rodeo and the tricky ones. But then also they're showing a very special life between you and Mandee. So they want me to tell you a little bit about that. So they're showing druids. It looks Celtic. They're showing Stonehenge. I don't know if that's exactly where they want to take us, but something like that. And you two were leaders or teachers or elders, however you want to say it, in a druid community of esoteric knowledges. So they're saying, yes, you guys both like to play ball in that feminine power space, but you also dug deep into that masculine, because you happen to be men in this particular life, masculine, esoteric knowledge. So, again, brilliant balance there. One more. They're talking about your kids. They're saying you're bringing through some more crystal warriors. They chose to come through your womb because of the open space you'll offer them. They're talking about their dad. They have a connection between both of you in lots of past lives. So wonderful. You guys all got to play in this dimension again together. And that's that part. If you have any questions, you can message me later. We'll go over it.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, they're saying that it's so wonderful to hold space with such heartful old souls, and we just want you to know how special we think you are, and show you our gratitude with giving you a little mirror into some of your existences there.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Well, we're about a half hour through our show, and if you're just tuning in, we're the Alchemy Sisters. We're here on Heart Over Ego Radio. We host a discussion most Monday nights with another healer or someone who is interested in helping be a catalyst for growth and change in this world. Jennie, my lovely business partner, just gave Tessa a nice little past life glimpse and reading, and part of it had to even do with me, which is cool. So I'm really glad we've done work together in lifetime, sister, because that's awesome. And we come across that, and it's so wonderful. And it's cool. I didn't even tell Jennie. Jennie and I are always like pretty telepathic and stuff, but I've been having visions of myself as a man in like some sort of lifetime, and it felt like Northern Europe somewhere, but I didn't know where, doing what exactly. But there are a lot of herbs around, so it's been very interesting, and that's been visiting me lately. So perhaps this will spark a little more remembering for me.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Tessa, we're going to do this one more time now and then again at the end. Will you tell our listeners how to find you again if they want to work with you or buy a product?
Absolutely. I'm mostly for products and anything that you'd like to buy as far as workshops or making appointments for vaginal steaming. You can find all of that on my website, which is www.wwgg.com. And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook at Where the Wild Garden Grows, or, of course, you can send me a friend request if you'd like to Tessa Cadet, and on Instagram, Where the Wild Garden Grows. You can find me there as well.
Beautiful. That's awesome. I do have a question for Tessa. Jennie, did you have anything you wanted to ask her or talk about after that?
No, that was good. You go ahead with your question.
Cool. I wanted to know a lot about, I love how you work with, young women all the way from kind of like preteen all the way up to their womanhood. And I'd love to know a little bit about that process and what that looks like, kind of working with the young girls and empowering them, and where you kind of start, or what's important to let them know if we have any moms listening, or, first-time parents, or someone with a young niece, or just someone who wants to heal their own traumas from that time in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. My vision first came to bring this to women, and after I did my first Moon Journey menstrual workshop with women, I immediately saw it hit me, like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my goodness, I had 70-year-old women sitting in my circle that were still being provided with new understanding and knowledge about their life, and I just knew I had to get this to our girls as young as I could. And so that's where I decided I was going to hold space for our tweens and then our teens as well. And so for our young ones, like our 9, 10-year-old girls, they're so incredible when they come in the circle, because I hold all my workshops very similar to a sacred women's circle. So I create a beautiful centerpiece filled with flowers, and I always put chocolate and candlelight, and I just really focus on bringing these girls into a celebratory space where they can feel feminine if they want to. They can just be like adorned, And so they walk in with their moms. Their moms usually sit behind them, and they sit on a pillow in front, and they're met with a flower for both the mom and the daughter. And, we kind of circle off with all the things the circle's about and how we conduct it. And then I just go through how our menses is very much reflective of our different stages in life, the different 4 seasons that we go through. And when you start to connect this picture with things that they're already connected to and very well aware of, like the seasons, and because they don't really have an understanding what it is to bleed, right? They haven't had their menarche yet, so they are trying to grasp for an understanding, and it's a really good place to start. And it's so wonderful to see moms sit back like, I'm learning so much too. Like, I didn't know. And so we talk about the menstrual cycle, but we also talk about the female experience and how to care for our bodies during, not just while we flow, but all month around, and how when we work with our bodies in these different stages, we can begin to create really healthy self-care routines, really healthy body positivity that's going to, and I always say, everything that we do, everything foundation that we lay for these young girls will follow them, and it will lead into the relationship with their fertility. And, and oftentimes we don't want to tell girls, we don't want to try to relate those two things, but absolutely, the relationship that they have now with their menses is going to go into their relationship with their fertility if they choose to have children, or sometimes even to not have children. So putting that in front of them, putting it in front of them in a way that they can digest, that they can start to learn different self-care, that they can create, and it's also preventing a lot of what I'm seeing now, that I'm working with vaginal steaming. I'm seeing so many side effects of decades and we'll call it generations, not even decades at this point, generations, thousands of years of not necessarily knowing how to care for our moon time, for our flow. And I've been even trying to defragment the current vocabulary that we're using, period. And that was a very patriarchal, man-given label to women's moon time, because men observed women having a quote-unquote periodical sickness because they would bleed, and they didn't understand it. And now, living in the Bible Belt, I'm starting to run into many of my friends that are saying that they're being told at a very young age that they bleed because they're sinners, and that because they sin, that's why they bleed. And so I'm thinking, whoa, we really have work to do. And so I re-explained to them that your flow, your moon time, I try to stay away from using the word period at this point. It is a womb cleanse. Your body is cleansing that portion of you on a monthly basis, the same way that your kidneys cleanse and your colon cleanse and all different parts of from your sweating, your body is cleansing. That is what your uterus is doing. It's a self-cleansing portion of your body. And so when we can start calling it a womb cleanse and not just a period where, it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for discussion per se, then we can start talking about, okay, so if we're having a womb cleanse and it's not quite going the way that it should, then we can talk about what we can do to change that. So, yeah, just putting a little bit of information in their ears and getting that conversation going when they're a tween, so that when they're a teen, they have a better understanding of their menses. So by the time that they're a woman and that they go on to experience the realm of fertility, that they have a fundamental understanding of their own body, which we are not being given. We're not doing it in schools. And if we are doing it in schools, it is more harm than good. And from my experience and what I'm kind of gathering from the collective, that there was way more harm going on than good. And now that I'm in Tennessee, and I'm from Ohio, and my husband is originally from Haiti, and that was the first point of he was just my first point of realization that change had to happen, because my husband, when I was pregnant, I mean, he had an adoration for me that I had never experienced in American culture. He had an understanding and appreciation for the feminine experience or the female experience in a way that I had never saw men embrace. And then when we would go to Haiti, we would visit our family there, my mother-in-law and my sisters, you know, and then you just see that vaginal steaming is an ancient, wise practice that's done all over the world, and for them it's done as a normal part of their experience. And, you know, so when my husband found out that women did vaginal steam in America, at least not on, like, you know, a normal collective whole, he was shocked. He was really taken back. He was like, well, what do you guys do? And it kind of just creates these little light bulbs in your brain that's like, you know, something's not right here. We are only going to our gynecologist when something's wrong and it's not right. And they're not educating us about our bodies. And so that's what kind of was the catalyst into me, like, going, I need to create a workshop. I need to create space for girls all the way into womanhood. And like I said, I've had women in their 70s coming to this to still understand their experience in menopause and postmenopause and perimenopause. And I had some women, you know, in their 50s that are still experiencing their womb cleanses, and they want to know what it's for. Like, why? For decades today, like, what is the purpose behind this? Why, you know, of course you understand and maybe I do have a cleanse, but, like, so I'm trying to also lead them into that connection, like you said, with their body, and why when we work with our cycles, we can manifest. And then I tell everyone, oh, and by the way, the entire, you know, my entire business of where the Wild Garden grows was manifested through my menstrual cycle. You know, they look at me crazy sometimes, but we can do that. You know, we have, that is the magic of our moon time when we honor it. We can create that seed during our winter month, our menstrual, and then we grow that seed, you know, we grow those intentions throughout the month. And like you had mentioned, and when we were ready to let everything go that did not serve us, we let it go, and then we're renewed. And to show them that there's a rhythm, a sacred rhythm that we can get into, changes, I mean, it is changing the way that women are living their daily lives. It's not like this one-time workshop, like, okay, cool, got it. Like, I'm showing them how to completely reframe the female or anyone with a womb, anybody with a womb, their experience with it.
Mandee, don't you think she'd be a perfect guest on Womb Magic?
Well, I do, and I was going to say that. We have another show that I started with another Alchemy sister of ours. Everybody who comes on the show and who has participated is considered an Alchemy sister. So another Alchemy sister of ours, Heidi Summers, and I host a podcast that we just started a few weeks ago on Friday mornings called Womb Magic, and learning all about the womb and different things that go on with it and the power of it. And so, yes, we'd absolutely love to have you on, and I was going to extend that offer. And it was funny because we were literally talking the other day on one of our episodes, and I was like, you know, where does period come from? It's got to be a patriarchal term because, you know, it was inconvenient and the woman was just in this period of time of something, but I wasn't sure. And so you so beautifully answered that, and I didn't even have to research it.
Yes. So much of so much of us being in the dark and so much of our lack of education is, of course, because we have relinquished this wisdom and this understanding to, like, the 2% mostly male population, white male population. And, you know, I kind of given a really dark history behind the foundation of gynecology and who we call the grandfather of gynecology. And it's very dark. And it starts in Alabama, and it starts with cutting lay women open in a backyard, and that this is who we, a psychopath, who I call, you know, an absolute psychopath, who murdered these women, and went up to, once he was able to feel like he was able to fix what he was going to fix surgically, he went up to New York, founded the first women's hospital, and then offered these services to white women that were then going to be given anesthesia. And so I always try to, like, mention that because how far removed we are and the foundation in which we are standing. So anybody that goes into the realm of gynecology as a study, as a medical practice, they have to study this man's nose. The speculum comes from this man. And so when we realize that that's where we have put our trust in our bodies, it makes you sick. And it makes you immediately want to go, no, I need this wisdom for myself. And start to take that back and start putting that back into, like, our medicine women and back into our own, just ourselves. And so when I want women to know how to care for their bodies, for themselves, and not be dependent on anyone, you know, for their health, for their care, for their vaginal care, for their womb care, all of it.
Absolutely. It's just something that, you know, here in the United States, like, we weren't educated about it, and there's a reason for that, and you just revealed that. And it is. I didn't know the extent of the history of gynecology, but it is sickening and it is sad. And, you know, I'm sending so much love to the women who came before us and experienced that, you know, in order to get us to where we're at right now. And it's uncomfortable and it's not okay, but that's what this show is about. It's about shedding light sometimes on the darker things in order to transmute and alchemize and heal. And how beautiful was your story. Jennie might have some insight because she's so good at reading this energy, but your story that your husband's the one who really reconnected you to your own, you know, cycle of yourself and how much it's meant to be honored. That is incredible.
Yeah. I always like to mention that I have two incredible, strong men standing behind this very feminine business. And it's my brother and my husband. My brother, Dustin Brewer, he helped me. You know, we were in my living room one night and we were talking about stuff, and my husband was there, and it just developed, and we're like, you know, what if we actually were celebrating women instead of doing this, and just one thing led to another. And he has helped me everything from my website to he creates all of my Yoni stools. He helped me design my everything from my Yoni-Steaming room. And then you have my husband, who has this beautiful culture behind him and these beautiful women behind him. You know, it's like, now we're talking about, like, lineage and ancestry, or, like, lineage of, like, the honoring of the feminine. And my husband was the first one to show me that, and show me that, like, I should be celebrated during my moon time while I was pregnant. All of that. So it is quite incredible, and so much wisdom that I've been honored to carry now from my mother-in-law and from my sisters, you know, in Haiti. And so it's wonderful. It is beautiful. It is.
What's Haiti like?
It's gorgeous. Oh, don't believe anything that you see on mass-marketed platforms. It is absolutely gorgeous. The people are incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. And, you know, when I first went down to Haiti, my youngest was only about 14 months old, and then my oldest was about 8. And I didn't really grow up with a solid family or mother or father. I kind of have a crazy history behind an adoption, and so to walk into, or just to arrive at, you know, my mother-in-law's house, who had never met me, and be greeted the way that I was, and be taken in and shown so much love, it was incredible. The food's amazing. My husband's an incredible cook. I get to eat Haitian food all the time. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I want to visit one day. Yeah.
Yes.
It'd be fun. They got a lot.
I've been drawn there too a couple of times.
Do they got a lot of hoodoo and voodoo there, or you don't know?
No, I am aware. You know, that is an interesting past to it as well, because the voodoo that is practiced in Haiti, at least from my, I would say, limited knowledge, oftentimes people would say that it very much reflects Catholicism, and that there's a reason behind that. You know, that when Voodoo came over, and there was, you know, the Western African cultural religions that were practiced, the spiritual practices that came over with them, and in order to preserve them, they oftentimes had to hide them in plain sight. And so they would oftentimes switch out their spirit names for Catholic saints. So they might be like openly, worshiping their own spirit, but in fact, you're going to hear things like St. Peter or St. Mary, or, so after many, many decades passed, hundreds of years have passed, the two really started to hybrid and blend. And so if you were to ever go to a voodoo ceremony, you're going to see really prominent, pieces of Catholicism, which is fascinating.
Interesting.
It was absolutely fascinating.
It's fascinating. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm always interested in that. I went to New Orleans about a year and a half ago, and I was so curious just to watch those hoodoo and voodoo healers and readers from a distance. I didn't get a reading and I didn't engage, but I was like, this is so fascinating. I love researching that and checking into that topic, just religion and spirituality across the board.
Oh, me too. I could be with it all day, every day. I could read about it all day.
That is awesome. I'm glad you asked about that, Jennie. I've heard lots about Haiti, and I've always kind of heard from more authentic people who have actually visited there and had an authentic experience of their own, that it's absolutely breathtaking and beautiful, and that the people are really, really nice. That there was definitely a lot of damage after the earthquake and everything, which is hard when natural disaster hits, and it's not easy. But I've heard that there's like quite a spirit there, and that I love how the women held you when you showed up there. And I'd love to know a little bit more about the Yoni-Steaming tradition and what they had to say about it and what you found in your experience doing it and working with it.
Yeah, that's kind of like where my focus right now with Wild Garden is, and so it's really exciting to talk about. And my first awareness, in Haiti, and their main practice for Yoni-Steaming or vaginal steaming is done postpartum. That is their main practice that they do, is mostly for postpartum women. And versus here, or all around the world. And I kind of, in a video that I made, I was talking about like this really long list of all over the world. Like there is not a continent that it has not touched. There is so many countries, and a lot of people want to disenfranchise developing countries because they're saying, well, they don't have access to modern medicine. That's why they do this, and that's not true. Like if you look at all of those who are practicing, you see everything, tons of European countries, Italy, Greece. It is spread throughout. It's not just our indigenous collective. And even if it was, sometimes I'm thinking, we have been so far removed in our Western medicine that we just think that, if there's other countries that are doing it, it must be because they don't have what we have. And oftentimes what we have with Big Farm is, to our detriment, not to our betterment. And so I decided, after hearing a little bit about this knowledge, that I was going to try it myself. And so I just went on Amazon and bought some herbs and did my steaming at home. And now I tell all my clients and anybody I talk to, do not do that. If you're not, I would really encourage people to see a practitioner before they try to venture this themselves. There is an absolute science behind this. You can do a lot of damage, which I kind of did when I first started out, and that's why I often warn women. I don't want to scare them by all means. Like if you want to go into that, just try to find someone that you can call. Call me, message me. I'll try to do my best to help you. But I decided that I was going to learn all I could about this, and I came across Kelly Garza, who is a steamy chick, who now has she holds the Parasteam Hydrotherapy license that you can go through and take her online courses and become certified. And that's what I did. And that just opened my eyes. You think you know something, and then, something else comes in, you're like, whoa, I had no idea, how little I really knew. And that was what it was for me with vaginal steaming. And since, I kind of use myself as a guinea pig, oftentimes because I don't ever want to put women over a certain formula or anything before I tried it on my own and had my own experience with it. And I can tell you guys, undoubtedly, there is such thing as the perfect period, and a majority of what women experience is not that. A perfect period.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, and a perfect period is 4 days of fresh red blood with almost no cramping. Okay. And the majority of women that I know, they're talking about clots, brown blood. They're talking about 7 days of heavy, heavy flow. They're talking about PMS symptoms that, are affecting their entire life. You're talking about, debilitating cramps. And oftentimes that are paired with cysts, fibroids, endometriosis. And so when I kind of, when the box opened and I'm going, wow, when we can actually start to create this perfect period, which I have been absolutely able to create for myself and the majority of my clients. And that is, of course, what I went on and I was taught, during my certification. So everything that I, at this point, have been taught that I have now been practicing has been undoubtedly true. Kelly Garza has done almost over 1,000 at this point case studies. People want to say that there is no sound science in this, and we're getting to the point where, no, there absolutely is. We're doing case studies. Even from my own small circle here in Chattanooga, everyone that has experienced this will tell you that this is what, if you give it 3 to 6 moon times, 3 to 6 cycles of moon cleanses, you can obtain the perfect period. And so women are starting to get their lives back. All these side effects that we are seeing, like the pain, the acne, the PMS, the brown blood, they are subsiding, and women are then again be able to reconnect with their moon time a little bit more, because it's not all of this it's almost like this war against our bodies that we create because we're a lot of times we're not experiencing what we're supposed to. And so I've been really excited to create my own formulas with my own herbal blends, and there's 4 different major ones that I use depending on what different issues that you have. And steaming truly can meet you and address almost every gynecological issue that is under the sun.
Oh,
and I say
wow.
that now with such confidence because I am such a doubter. I'm always but that's it really, when I first got into this, I wanted to know everything for sure myself before I really wanted to sell something and create, and women are really entrusting me with a very sacred portion of their body. And so it's a part of their body that oftentimes that they don't even trust themselves. So I really wanted to make sure that what I was doing was ethical and that it was sound. And I am so excited to say that absolutely is the case.
Beautiful. I believe it. I have no doubt about it. It's fascinating how little so many women actually know about their own bodies. And we talk a lot about, self-pleasuring and orgasm and sex and things like that on this show. And it's still such a taboo in so many ways. And knowing, I've heard this several times, I'm getting closer to achieving it. I haven't achieved it yet, but I've heard about this, perfect period and what it's supposed to really be like a lot. And it's hard because you have to combat society and the stressors around it. And it's hard to create your schedule around what can offer healing and releasing and being able to do this. And so I love that it gives it a 3 to 6 month time where you can really sit with this and integrate this practice and see what it can do for you. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, you really have to claim back time, and it takes practice for women to quote unquote be selfish, but that's not really what we're doing. In fact, we're being selfless all month long. And this 1 week that we need to restore. And there's so much, false information. You have doctors that are saying, oh, if this is not for you, everyone's period is just unique to them, or go running, exercise, that will help with your cramps. That could not be more untrue. And there are very specific womb practices that you can do that will start to create, like you said, to get you back into that flow of the 4-day period, and that you can, and part of that is rest. and a lot of women don't want to hear that, but it's true. We have uterine fatigue like crazy. We are not giving proper rest after we have babies. We're not even giving proper rest, in a general sense. So we're having a lot of uterine fatigue. We're having a lot of really unhealthy menstrual cycles. So I'm excited to be able to bring this practice. It's very ancient, like has been around from the beginning of time, that is everywhere. Like it cannot be that much. Like it's one of those things where when I was really considering this, one of the variables that you have to consider that it's not a coincidence that it has not only been done for thousands of years, that it is everywhere.
Right.
It's everywhere. In every historical context that you can find, in majority of historical recorded history, you will find this practice. So when women, I've been asked, all kinds of crazy questions about Yoni-Steaming being in the South. Everything from, is it voodoo, is it witchcraft, is it, and I just want to be like the same understanding that you have of herbal teas when you drink teas to feel better is the same. Try to stop process that. Just because it's part of your vagina does not equate to it being, something that you can't explain. Like all of a sudden it's the unexplainable. No, there's absolute, a fundamental understanding of how this works, and we have proof to prove that. But it's also a spiritual practice. There's some women that are like, I don't have a uterus anymore. Can I do this? And I'm always like, absolutely. You have a womb space. And that is where, our lower three chakras absolutely usually need to be de-rubbled, and we hold a lot of stuff in that space. And this is a great spiritual practice to engage in as well.
Excellent. Such good information. I know we could do 3 more shows, but we're getting toward the end of our show. And I was wondering, Tessa, if you could tell everyone how they can reach out to you. What is your website again, so in case they want to get on and take a look at your products and your wares and your services?
Yes, ma'am. You can find me at if you want to purchase a workshop seed or any products that I have, you can do that at my website, which is www.thewwgg.com. And if you want to kind of just keep up with all that I'm doing, you can either follow me on Facebook at Where the Wild Garden Grows or Instagram, Where the Wild Garden Grows.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming on. You are now dubbed an Alchemy Sister. We have a few Alchemy brothers, so we're open for all kinds of collaboration. Anyone have an interesting topic out there listening to us, give us a call, give us a message. You can find us on Facebook, the Alchemy Sisters. You can also find us on Heart Over Ego and Heart Over Ego Radio, all on Facebook. And you can find us on YouTube, all under Heart Over Ego Radio, Spreaker, Blog Talk, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Pretty sure we're on iTunes now. Find us, give us a like, support, subscribe. Tell us what you want to hear about. Again, Tessa, we appreciate you for coming on. Please consider coming back and visiting with us and telling us where you're at in your journey and telling us all the fantastic things you're getting yourself into. Mandee, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you. Any last comments or suggestions or anything, ladies?
I do just want to mention that I am providing free vaginal steaming education kind of seminar Q&A the first Saturday of every month, and the one coming up is going to be at Ignite Chiropractic on the North Shore in Chattanooga. And again, that's just going to be a first of the month free just educational spot that women can come and learn more about their bodies and how to take care of them.
Love those resources. Keep doing what you do, Tessa. We'll be sending you some energy. Call in any time, even if you only have a couple minutes. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a little update on the southern east side there. We appreciate you. Thank you, everyone. We are the Alchemy Sisters. We're coming from Heart Over Ego Radio. Look us up. Find us. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate your support. Everyone, have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye. Thanks, Tessa.
Thank you.
What if you could change your life? What if the sorrow could become joy and the darkness the light? What if you could heal not only yourself but those around you? Well, you can. This is Alchemy, and these are the Alchemy Sisters. Join psychic Jennie McDaniel and spiritual advisor Mandee Elam for a magical 1-hour journey into esoteric spiritual discussions.